Oh yeah, another preseason prediction video about to come at you. Now, I was using non-conference games, but I kind of ran out of good non-conference games to preview, except for one, and it is coming. You know which one I'm talking about. So for now, I'm going to have to do in-conference games. Today, I'm doing an interesting matchup, North Carolina at Georgia Tech. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Now is a great time to hit that subscribe button because I'm in the middle of my preseason predictions. I've already done 34 teams. Today is number 35 and 36. Don't forget to check out my friends at Tri-State Wood Sketch. All you have to do is send him a picture, and he'll turn it into a beautiful piece of art on wood. Check out his website at www.tristatewoodsketch.com. Tell him Golden Blue Dude sent you, and you'll get 20% off. So today, I decided to go with North Carolina and Georgia Tech. North Carolina did lose some talent, but they could actually be better this year than what they were last year. And I definitely think Georgia Tech will be better this year. First, we'll start off with North Carolina. Last year, they finished the season 8-4, fourth in the ACC because they didn't have any divisions, and their preseason ranking is 10th. Mike Brown has resurrected North Carolina football again. They were so happy to have him back that season tickets in his first season were sold out months before the season started. But let's talk about this year. We'll start with the offense. First off, the entire offensive line is back. That's always a good thing. Like I said before, they did lose some talent. Key losses, both running backs, Michael Carter and Javonte Williams. And also their two best wide receivers, wide receiver Diami Brown and Daz Newsome. But the reason they might actually be better is this might be the deepest North Carolina football team in history. And yes, they will have plenty of talent. Mike Brown is recruiting top 20 recruiting classes. Do not let the big name departures fool you. Last year, they averaged 41.7 points per game, good enough for 9th in the nation, and averaged 537.3 yards a game. I think this year, North Carolina will continue to be a contender, and it all starts with their Heisman contending quarterback, Sam Howell. Last year, he was 259 for 422. That's 61.4%. Threw for 3,641 yards, 38 touchdowns, just 7 interceptions, and that was on a slightly down year. Now let's look at their running game. They're going to have a completely new look in the running game because their big names are gone, but it's still going to be good. Starting with Tennessee transfer running back Ty Chandler. Last year, he had 100 carries for 456 yards, 4.6 yards a carry, and 4 touchdowns, and that was behind a horrendous offensive line. And don't forget about running back British Brooks, 24 carries for 99 yards, 4.1 yards a carry. Might not be quite as good as what it was last year, but it's not going to be bad. Now let's look at their passing game. It's going to be better than what you think. Starting with the tight ends. Tight end Garrett Walston, he decided to come back. 19 receptions for 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. And tight end Kamari Morales, 2 receptions for 16 yards and 1 touchdown. As usual, guys, there are some tricky names on both of these rosters, so I probably will mispronounce some names. Now let's look at North Carolina's wide receiving core. Wide receiver Caffrey Brown, the younger brother of Diami Brown. Last year, he had 15 receptions for 337 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Bo Corrales, back from injury. Last year, 13 receptions for 238 yards and 1 touchdown. But in 2019, when he had a great season, 40 receptions for 575 yards and 6 touchdowns. He'll be back with a vengeance. Wide receiver Josh Downs, 7 receptions for 119 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Antone Green, 4 receptions for 38 yards and 1 touchdown. Wide receiver Emory Simmons, 15 receptions for 201 yards and 1 touchdown. And then the incoming 4-star recruit, wide receiver Gavin Blackwell. He's 5'11 and a half and 175 pounds. Now let's look at North Carolina's defense. North Carolina will definitely be better on the defensive side of the ball this year. Much improved from last year. Last year, they allowed 29.4 points per game. That's 65th, and allowed 400.9 yards a game. Finally, the defense has great size up front, and they also have very athletic linebackers. Let's start with the defensive line. Defensive end Tamari Fox, 46 tackles, 23 by himself, 4 sacks. Defensive tackle Raymond Vahasek, 29 tackles, 15 by himself, 3.5 sacks, 2 pass deflections. Defensive tackle Miles Murphy, 8 tackles, 6 by himself, 1 sack. Now let's look at the linebackers. They have some pretty good linebackers. They did lose their leading tackler, though, Chaz Surratt. Starting with linebacker Tamon Fox, 36 tackles, 21 by himself, 7 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Linebacker Jeremiah Gamel, 78 tackles, 50 by himself, 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, and 4 pass deflections. Linebacker Eugene Asante, 26 tackles, 13 by himself, and 1 forced fumble. And linebacker Desmond Evans, 10 tackles, 2 by himself, and 1 sack. North Carolina's secondary not only will arguably be the best in the ACC, but possibly in the nation. Talented and great depth. Starting with the cornerbacks. Cornerback Tony Grimes, 14 tackles, 11 by himself, 1 sack, 1 interception, and 3 pass deflections. Quarterback Storm Duck didn't see much action last year, just 4 solo tackles and 2 pass deflections. But in 2019, he had 37 tackles, 28 by himself, 2 interceptions, 1 which he returned for a touchdown, and 5 pass deflections. Quarterback Kyler McMichael, 26 tackles, 22 by himself, 6 pass deflections. Free safety Trey Morrison, 39 tackles, 33 by himself, 1 sack, 1 interception, 3 pass deflections. Strong safety Jacurius Conley, 35 tackles, 24 by himself, 1 sack, 1 pass deflection. And nickelback Don Chapman, 48 tackles, 40 by himself, 2 sacks, 1 interception, and 2 pass deflections. This is the most balanced North Carolina football team maybe in history. Good luck wearing them out because their depth just keeps coming. Running and even passing the ball will be a challenge for anybody that faces them this year. And oh yeah, don't forget, they are led by a Heisman contending quarterback. Believe the hype, North Carolina is for real. Let's take a look at North Carolina's 2021 college football schedule. First, they start off the season at Virginia Tech. Yeah, Inner Sandman, spooky, scary. But Virginia Tech sucks. That's a win. Georgia State at home. Win. Virginia at home. Virginia will be much improved. Win. Then at Georgia Tech. I'll predict that at the end of the video. Duke at home. Win. Revenge game against Florida State at home. Win. Miami at home. Win. Then they get their bye week. At Notre Dame. That's going to be a tough one, but I think they're better. And Notre Dame doesn't have that great of a home field advantage. Win. Wake Forest at home. Win. At Pitt. Tricky, win. Wofford at home, win. And then the rivalry game on the road at NC State won't be easy, win. So I have North Carolina going either 12-0 or 11-1, depending on that prediction against Georgia Tech. Now let's look at Georgia Tech. They weren't good at all last year. They finished the season 3-7, 11th in the ACC because there were no divisions. And their preseason ranking is 75th. Not good at all. But I do think they will take a step forward this year. Head coach Jeff Collins has gotten rid of the outdated and unreliable triple option offense. He's modernized the offense and injected it with a little bit of energy. I think the offensive line will actually be reliable this year, unlike last year. The biggest thing for Georgia Tech on offense is simple. Get rid of the penalties. Way too many penalties last year. Plus the fact that they couldn't score and put up any yards. Last year they averaged 23.9 points per game. That's 96. Averaged 389.9 yards a game. Not good at all. But there is some hope. Quarterback Jeff Sims. Last year he was 141 for 257. That's 54.9%. 3 for 1,881 yards, 13 touchdowns, but 13 interceptions. Gotta cut down on those interceptions. Still a threat quarterback. 120 carries for 492 yards. That's 4.1 yards a carry and 6 touchdowns. Georgia Tech is actually going to have a pretty good running game, believe it or not. Starting with running back Jamean Gibbs. 89 carries for 460 yards. That's 5.2 yards a carry and 4 touchdowns. Running back Dante Smith. 43 carries for 296 yards. That's 6.9 yards a carry and 3 touchdowns. And running back Jordan Mason. 82 carries for 352 yards. 4.3 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. So they have great depth at the running back position. They're good to go. It is their passing game that needs to improve a lot. Starting with their tight end. Tight end Dylan Devaney. 4 receptions for 38 yards, 1 touchdown. Wide receiver Malachi Carter. 20 receptions for 290 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Adonicus Sanders. 17 receptions for 223 yards and 1 touchdown. The Northwestern transfer. Wide receiver Kyrick McGowan. 34 receptions for 366 yards. And he's a pretty good kick returner too. Wide receiver Marquez Ezzard. 9 receptions for 124 yards. Incoming 4-star recruit. That's right, Georgia Tech recruited a 4-star wide receiver. Wide receiver James Blackstrain. 6'2", 190 pounds. He will have an immediate impact on this offense. Wide receiver Nate McCullum. 2 receptions for 15 yards. If Georgia Tech can cut back on those penalties, and I think they will, this offense will take a step forward in 2021. Now let's take a look at the Yellow Jackets defense. They do return 8 starters. That's some good news right there. The bad news is from a bad defense. Last year they allowed 36.8 points per game. That's 110th, and allowed 459.3 yards a game. Yikes. I do think Georgia Tech will have a very athletic front line and linebacking core that will swarm the ball. See what I did there? Starting with the defensive line. Defensive end Antonius Clayton. 9 tackles, 6 by himself, 2 sacks. Defensive tackle Dijon Brooks. 30 tackles, 13 by himself, 1 sack, 1 pass deflection. Incoming 3-star recruit South Carolina transfer. Defensive tackle Makia Scott. 6'3", 306 pounds. Incoming 4-star recruit Alabama transfer. Defensive end Kevin Harris. 6'4", 228 pounds. Defensive end Jordan Dominic. 35 tackles, 20 by himself, 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 pass deflection. Linebacker Ayande Ely, the Maryland transfer. Last year he had 19 118 tackles, 7 by himself. Limited action. But in 2019, 79 tackles, 44 by himself, a half a sack, 1 interception, and 3 pass deflections. Linebacker Quez Jackson, 80 tackles, 45 by himself, 1 sack, 2 interceptions, and 3 pass deflections. They do have a key loss, though, linebacker David Curry, but they do have enough coming back to where they can minimize the sting of losing him. Georgia Tech's secondary might be the strength of this defense this year. They will have a lot of experience and depth coming back this year, starting with the cornerbacks. Cornerback Zamari Walton, 36 tackles, 24 by himself, 2 interceptions, and 5 pass deflections. Cornerback Trace Willing, 20 tackles, 11 by himself, 1 pass deflection. Free safety John Ye Thomas, 59 tackles, 38 by himself, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception, and 2 pass deflections. Strong safety Tariq Carpenter, 39 tackles, 29 by himself, 1 interception, and 5 pass deflections. And nickelback Wesley Walker, 48 tackles, 30 by himself, and 4 pass deflections. If the Yellow Jackets can knock off the turnovers and create more turnovers of their own, this team has a shot of surprising and upsetting a few teams. Here's a look at Georgia Tech's 2021 college football schedule. First, a home game against Northern Illinois. Win. Kennesaw State. Win. At Clemson. Loss. North Carolina at home. I'll predict that here in just a minute. Pitt at home. Loss. At Duke. Win. Then they get their bye week. At Virginia. Loss. Virginia Tech at home. Win. At Miami. Loss. Boston College at home. Loss. At Notre Dame. Loss. Georgia. Loss. So depending on that North Carolina prediction, I have Georgia Tech going either 4-8 or 5-7. Despite that record, Georgia Tech will be better. Have patience, Yellow Jacket fans. Now it's time for the actual prediction of the North Carolina at Georgia Tech football game. North Carolina is way more talented and has way more depth than Georgia Tech. This should be an easy win, right? I don't know. North Carolina tends to have some letdown games. This fits a lot of those criterias. It's earlier in this season. They definitely wouldn't see this coming, and it is on the road. And Georgia Tech does have the talent to potentially upset a sleeping North Carolina team. Does it happen? I'm predicting that yes, it does happen. Georgia Tech stuns North Carolina at home. This is that letdown game that North Carolina has no business losing, but I think they lose it. Final score, Georgia Tech 31, North Carolina 27. It's going to be a close game. Georgia Tech might have to do what Florida State did last year and build up a lead. North Carolina come back, but just run out of time. Might have to do that. I don't know. But I think this is a perfect scenario for a letdown, huge, stunning upset for North Carolina. I'm calling it right now. So that means for Georgia Tech, I have them going 5-7. Yes, they miss a ball, but we do see progress. Have patience. They are taking steps forward under Jeff Collins. I think next year is when the Yellow Jackets could make a bowl. For North Carolina, that means I have you going 11-1. Yes, you're making the ACC championship, but you're going to look back on the season and say, man, why did we lose to Georgia Tech? Just like last year, why did we lose to Florida State? That's the game that will haunt you, because I do think you lose to Clemson, and that's what knocks you out of the playoffs, and everybody will be looking at that Georgia Tech game. I'm talking as if it already happens, but I really think it's going to happen. We'll see what happens, though. I hope you enjoyed this video. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.